As many of you know, I have personal friendships with certain lawmakers and certain people who are now members of the Trump administration.
Breaking news. Privileged to disclose that personal connections with notable lawmakers and individuals within the Trump administration have afforded me exclusive access to insider information. Brace yourselves for an impending surge in altcoins projected for a blazing 2025 ride.
He's spending quite a bit of time working with lawmakers in Washington, D.C., and quite a bit of time working with members of the administration to help foster and facilitate with other key leaders in industry the crypto policy. We have to do this and we have to get it done.
Breaking partnership emerges as the founder of Cardano reveals plans for direct collaboration with the Donald.
Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council. Their task will be to design transparent regulatory guidance for the benefit of the entire industry, and they will get it done in 100 days.
Administration and key figures in Washington, D.C. to spearhead a new era of crypto policy beyond 2025. Collaborative efforts with legislators and administration personnel.
Very high probability that the Republicans will control not only the Senate and the presidency, but also the Congress, the House. And in the process of doing so, this is the best opportunity we have ever had in the history of the industry to get clarity for our industry and remove the sort of Damocles that the SEC has reigned over the Cardano ecosystem, Ripple ecosystem, the Ethereum ecosystem, reigned over Solana, reigned over all the major ecosystems, and actually including Bitcoin in many respects, despite the ETF approvals.
Now in the pipeline to foster a conducive environment for the crypto industry, ensuring its growth and innovation. Stay tuned for developments on the creation of a potential crypto advisory council, a project poised to revolutionize regulatory.
None of us signed up to have companies like BlackRock dictate to the United States what the crypto policy should be. The crypto policy should be written by the American people, the American crypto industry, and by well-meaning lawmakers who are willing to take the time to listen. So we will establish at Input Output a policy office, and we're going to begin staffing that office, moving some personnel around, and hopefully by January, we can begin to participate in that process and work with certain key leaders in certain key positions and get to a point where we can hybridize many of the proposals, including FIT 21, including the Lummis bill, the FIA, and other such things, so that we can get a bipartisan bill passed that will give us absolute clarity of when things are securities and commodities, help us navigate the often tumultuous and chaotic waters of DeFi, and get us to a point where we can get back to business. So that's what we're going to focus on in 2025. We're going to get our growth and adoption where it needs to be, and we're going to make sure that we have solid policy so that we can move forward as a nation. As many of you know, I have personal friendships with certain lawmakers and certain people who are now members of the Trump administration. We hopefully will be able to have great dialogues with them in the coming months to put together some of this policy.
Guidance within a mere 100 days. The current political landscape presents a promising window of opportunity with a high likelihood of Republican dominance across the Senate, presidency, and Congress. This strategic alignment holds immense potential to provide much-needed clarity within the industry, alleviating regulatory uncertainties plaguing prominent ecosystems such as Cardano, Ripple, Ethereum, and Solana. As institutional heavyweights like BlackRock and Wall Street venture into the crypto arena, anticipations are rife for an infusion of trillions in capital, signaling a seismic shift in the sector's dynamics. For that, subscribe to the channel. The next video will be about passive income on SUI, how I make passive income.
And having an Ethereum ETF. These are just stepping stones towards tokenization. I really do believe this is where we're going to be going. We have the technology to tokenize today. This eliminates all corruption by having a tokenized system.
Proactive stance. Our industry endeavors to influence policy formulation as we pledge to establish a dedicated policy office at Input Output. By collaborating with key stakeholders, we aim to amalgamate diverse perspectives and devise bipartisan solutions in areas like security classifications, DeFi navigation, and operational protocols. Through these concerted efforts, our mission for 2025 crystallized, fostering organic growth and widespread adoption while laying a robust policy foundation to propel our nation forward.
guy, this is almost nirvana.
So what does Donald Trump presidency mean for crypto?
Listen, I think yesterday was probably the most important day for the cryptocurrency industry and for Galaxy as a company in years. And I say that because, we've suffered 4 years of regulatory purgatory, an administration that didn't appreciate our industry and was just starting to understand it some. So there was a thawing out that was happening. But Trump, listen, he went to Bitcoin Nashville, the big Super Bowl of Bitcoin conferences, and he laid down his vision, which was pro-crypto all the way, from not selling the Bitcoin that the government already owns to potentially a strategic reserve. Most importantly, I think we're going to get new heads of the SEC, the FDIC, the OCC, all these regulatory bodies that will allow custodians like State Street and Bank of New York, investment banks, and other banks to hold crypto on their balance sheet. And as all these traditional players come into the market, it's going to bring in a tremendous amount of capital. And so I couldn't be more optimistic, actually. I was not a President Trump voter for lots of other reasons, but as a crypto guy, this is almost nirvana.
Interactions with esteemed legislators and Trump administration appointees are poised to shape pivotal policy narratives in the coming months. Noteworthy trends on Wall Street underscore a burgeoning interest in Ethereum, reminiscent of Amazon's transformative emergence in the 1990s.
There are other ways to play the crypto space. There's stocks like Coinbase. There are the other coins and tokens and things like Ether. Doge now gets a lot of mention. Would you be an advocate of all of that as well?
Well, what I've said, Bitcoin is sort of digital gold to me, and it's a store of value asset. What I've said about Ethereum is don't buy it unless you really understand its business proposition and its competitors, the other databases that might be the rails for crypto. I do think, however, that overall, big picture, stable coins are the new global payment system. And one of the big winners is going to be Ethereum. Ethereum's market share kind of bottomed in September. We look at stuff like that. And so it's a little bit of a contrarian play. Ethereum has outperformed over the last several weeks. And I think it's a good entry point, actually, for Ethereum, if you understand the pros and cons of it.
The spotlight now shines on BlackRock's Ethereum ETF, recording substantial inflows and signaling a burgeoning appetite for crypto investments. Aligning with prevailing sentiments, we anticipate a paradigm shift towards tokenization, revolutionizing established frameworks with enhanced transparency and efficiency. Venturing further into the Ethereum narrative,
I think Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs. It hit them today, and I think it's going further, right? My basic premise.
Jan Van Eck is the CEO of Van Eck Associates. Jan, it's great to have you. And when you're probably asked as much as I am if Bitcoin's going to 100,000 next, what would you say?
Kelly, happy Friday. I think Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs. It hit them today, and I think it's going further, right? My basic premise is that ultimately Bitcoin's value will be half of that of all the gold outstanding. So you're talking about something like $300,000 for Bitcoin.
Industry experts echo sentiments on its contrarian play potential and strategic entry positioning for savvy investors. Speculations abound on Ethereum's trajectory, with the tantalizing prospect of a $10,000 price milestone echoing amidst the industry discourse.
I think that the government's going to continue to print too much money. You think Bitcoin is a way for Floridians to maintain purchasing power?
Thank you for making those points, because that's exactly where our head is on this. We look at the failed policies of Washington. I hope President Trump is going to be able to turn around, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. He's walking into a real mess. But we need to be able to have a hedge against this massive overreach by the federal government with a centralized currency. Look, I don't want the federal government knowing when my son went to the grocery store to go buy a bag of Doritos at 2:15 in the afternoon. So we need to have some protections in place. And I think where we make it a welcome and interesting expansion of dialogues in Florida, and maybe even a greater expansion. We have about $800 million in crypto-related investments in our state portfolio. But I would not be shocked to be able to see that growing under a Trump administration in the near future.
And you think that en masse in the country that the U.S. Crypto is just going to become more important in terms of almost a sovereign fund or in pension plans and retirement plans for government employees, Jimmy?
Look, as a fiduciary, I think it's very important. Look, I've got firefighters, I've got teachers, I've got state employees that were trustees over their pension. I need to make sure that we're doing everything humanly possible to get the best return on their investment. And if we're not being open-minded to what crypto can do to diversify that portfolio, shame on us. So again, it's a direction that we're going to start to push. We're going to be prepared to seize the opportunities presented by, just as your show has been speaking to earlier, the change of what the administration can bring in the future financial outlook of our country, our world. And Florida is going to be prepared to do the most for our fiduciary responsibilities that we take so seriously.
The link below if you buy and spend coins, check Nexo Exchange, and I'll see you in the next one.